January 26th of 2017. Typical normal day. Get up, get ready for work, go in, get your cup of coffee, get comfortable. And my phone vibrates. I get a text message from my niece asking me, is my son okay? What do you mean? Yeah, as far as I know. She sends me a Facebook status of somebody who was trying to get in touch with his family. The screenshot off of Facebook was, Tieran's been shot. He's been shot. Shock, confusion, petrified. I can't lose him. The hospitals won't release anything over the phone, so you gotta go. My mentality at the time was, oh my God, where is, what is, and how am I? Is he dead? Is he alive? My concern was my son. And a song came over the radio that just gave me peace. The song that came on the radio that particular day was a song by Donnie McClurkin. Great is your mercy, I see every day. And that song just resonated, regardless of what my mentality was, regardless of how reckless I was trying to get there and how many people I could have killed on the highway, including myself. Trying to get to my son that I had absolutely no idea whether or not he was alive, gave me a peace that there is mercy, that whatever the storm is, he's there with me. And that gave me the opportunity to be able to walk into the room and look at my baby. I had to turn around because the emotions started flowing even harder that you're alive. You're alive. The bullet went in through his front lip and exited right below his ear. When we got down to the what, where, why, and how, he was on his way home. He was coming down the street. A couple of kids, and, I don't know the ages of them, approached it. Well, he saw him walking towards him. To avoid issues, he crossed over to the other side of the street, walking in a more roundabout way to get home. They somehow got in front of him somehow, I don't know, and inquired whether or not he had a cigarette. You got a cigarette? No, man, I don't have any of that stuff. You got this? Nah. Well, you ain't got nothing we need, so bam, just shot him. He didn't even realize he was shot. He was just trying to get home. He walked a little bit. Police, evidently somebody heard the gunshot, called the police. They found him. His initial thought is, I didn't do anything. I don't know. Their concern was, put your hands down, you're bleeding. What do you mean I'm bleeding? You're bleeding. I'm bleeding? Gun violence is not something that you think would ever happen to you. I didn't think it would happen to me. It happens daily. Sisters, brothers. You don't know. You never know. It's sad that it's a daily life. I don't know the statistics on it, but it's daily. And it's not just in inner city. It's not just in communities that people would assume. It's ridiculous that you can't even walk to the corner store and not know whether or not you're going to come home. And the part that you don't even want to go out of your house because you never know whether or not you're going to make it home. Kids going to school may not come home. going to the movies with your family to watch the latest release of, and you might not make it home because somebody thinks it's okay to open fire.
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Matthews. I am a parent who happens to pastor too. Don't let this pretty orange jacket fool you. Just look up orange and gun violence soon. I wonder if we could have a conversation that kind of stretches out, not in moving stuff from us, but giving us an opportunity to listen to each other's hearts. Perhaps listen to each other's hearts over a familiar song. This is the Common English version of Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength, a help always near in times of great trouble. That's why we won't be afraid when the world falls apart, when the mountains crumble into the center of the sea, when its waters roar and rage, when the mountains shake because of its surging. Psalm 46 is without question one of the most poetic and powerful words depicting the nature of God in the Hebrew Bible. It's relational, it's revelatory, it's righteous in its warning, and Amy, it is a song of action. This psalm implores us to recapture our divine sense of rhythm and get back in step with God for ourselves. To slow down. Pay attention to the calamity that's all around us, to listen to the groans, to learn and to love with a reckless abandon that fosters a renewal that will unleash a world that the church has been longing to step in the void and provide something new. Stephen Bako calls it a more human face. You've heard the story of our sister Lydia and her son Taryn. All too often, these stories throughout history are relatively short in our imaginations. We send out prayers and things on social media. We might even gather in groups in our churches, and then it fades. Good intentions, well-meanings, but it fades. But I would submit that the time for action is upon us. Did you know that there has been one school shooting each week in 2018? That is 23 school shootings in 2018 by the first week of June. Calling all God's people. Our communities are crying, calling all God's people. Our children are dying in our streets without respect to color, nationality, sexual orientation, or income level. Calling all God's people. Might we slow down and hear God's call? In 2018, the United Methodist Church, the Church of Jesus Christ, must live up to our responsibilities and become active stewards of peace right where we are. We must step outside of our illusion of safety and begin to pray with our eyes open and our feet moving. To pray with our eyes open and our feet moving. The time is now to act. We must be ready to listen. Are you willing to listen? Am I? Check out these stats and let me know what you think. In our state, 654 murders, 5,589 rapes. Our beloved state was 6th in the nation in hate crimes. Can you hear our communities crying? 12,523 robberies, 16,111 assaults. The Buckeye State was number 6 in homicides. Are we listening? Indeed, listening is an active trait that's not easily acquired, but you have to pay attention because some of the skill sets involved and listening are not easily recognizable. If our conference really wants to become moral beacons, we must, in this unprecedented time of gun violence, be willing to move beyond our comfort zones and live and see the marginalized not as acts of charity, but as our moral responsibility and an issue of spiritual renewal. We must cross the lines that separate us, no matter what they are. We must learn to slow down and listen to each other. Slow down. Trust each other. For how can we love a God whom we've never seen and scared to talk to and look at and embrace the folk we see in church every Sunday? We must listen because our streets are becoming soaked with the blood of our children despite where we come from. Our children are dying. Are you listening? We must balance our rights and responsibilities to stop gun violence and gun tragedies in the paradigm of where we find ourselves as United Methodists. For indeed, we have something to say. We say, quote, "We urge congregations to advocate local and national laws that prevent the reduction of gun violence." What are those? I got a couple. Connect with and support those who are directly impacted by gun violence. Support gun violence prevention programs, de-escalation groups, support trainings, and the survivors of gun violence. This is what we said. Ensure that all guns are sold through licensed gun retailers. This is what we say. Encouraging universal background checks for all gun purchases. We say that we want to prohibit all individuals under restraining order due to the threat of violence from purchasing a gun, like someone convicted of a felony or domestic abuse. We say that we want to prohibit persons with serious mental illnesses from ever buying a gun. Karen Cook. We say that we want to ensure greater access to service for those who have mental illness. We say, United Methodists, that we want to ban large capacity ammunition magazines and weapons desired to fire multiple rounds with one trigger pull. And that means we want to promote technology to aid law enforcement agencies to trace guns and promote public safety. Book of Resolutions 3428. But come on, we're not talking about taking away guns. But all of us have been breathless as we've watched our children run to safety from the very school they should be protected in, running from movie theaters and clubs and concerts and even a Bible study in Charleston, South Carolina. The effects of the ripple of violence has caused us to see, like RFK talks about, who died violently today 50 years ago, that the ripples of hope now beckon on our doors, even in your home. Just like with my son. My son, Malcolm, has lost 4 friends to violent deaths. 4 friends gone in 5 years. From the 8th grade to his senior year of high school, he lost 4 friends in 5 years. He's never recovered. He's 23 now, serves in the Army, but you can see it in his smile. He hasn't recovered. You can hear it in his voice. He's not the same kid. Bishop, I thought I listened, but being consumed with the work of the church and my denominational ambitions, I failed to sense Wendy his acute pain. I didn't see it. I didn't slow down long enough to acknowledge it. Yet it was always right in front of me. No scripture quoting or grant writing will ever repair the chasm. I needed to repent and ask God and him, can we try it again? He's watching right now, and I say, Malcolm, I'm sorry, son. Let's let the next 50 be better than the last 5. His tears are real, silent behind the family that has departed. Tears where words like resilience ring shallow and restoration seems miles away. Tears that I stand before you admitting that I helped cause because they were created on my watch. What about you? Are you prepared to listen with renewal, learn with courage, and love again? Beloved, we can no longer listen and love in isolation. Hope can no longer afford to be a static imperative that only inspires us. Hope must now begin to inform us as well. We must return to our respective contents with the fire that Wesley says when we catch on fire, people from miles around will watch us burn. Calling all God's people. When we learned that the violence in our state exceeded that in Iraq all of last year, we must confirm that something must change. Well, why change? Because there are real people with real names that have real stories, and the names get closer to you and to me. Calling all God's people, our children are dying right in front of us. Can we listen with our ears and our heart? Can we learn with a sense of urgency and become stewards in real time right now? And then once we listen and we learn, then we love again with reckless abandon. Because that love is incarnational. That love is messy. That love moves away barriers. That love compels and prospers us to take us higher. With the old song, it says it lifts us where we belong. It removes our sense of brokenness. It gives up on excuses, and that love reminds us that it is enough. Can I conclude kind of the way we started? Psalm 46 says, verse 8, and I love the Common English translation. Come see the Lord's deeds, what devastation has been wrought upon the earth, bringing wars to an end every corner of the world, breaking the bow and shattering the spear, burning the chariots with fire. And he doesn't say be still. In the Common English translation, it says, that's enough. Enough dying in Chillicothe and Columbus. Enough mayhem in Dayton and Delaware. Enough chaos in Springboro and Springfield. That is enough. God will be exalted among the nations and exalted throughout the world. Calling all God's people in Shawnee and Capital Area South. Calling all God's people in Ohio River Valley and the foothills. Calling all God's people in the Miami Valley District in the Northwest Plains. Calling all God's people in Miami Watershed and Capital Area North. Calling all God's people. Our ancestors are singing an old song that says, if I can help somebody as I travel along, if I can just help somebody with a word or song, if I can just help somebody who's traveling wrong, then Benji, your living, my living will not be in vain. Calling God's people, it's time for us to stand our post.